speech perception. So last time we have spoken about motor theory. Recap. Motor theory states that understanding speech requires you to figure out which gestures created a given acoustic signal. Okay? Speech perception system uses any sort of information that could help identify the gesture, visual, and we're going to see others. Okay? Two non-auditory perception systems, vision and touch, have been shown to affect speech perception. Okay? Vision and touch. Now, the most famous demonstration of multimodal speech perception is the McGurk Effect. The McGurk Effect is a theory, just to show you why we're going to deal with this McGurk theory, because it is used by the psycholinguists, by the theorists, to justify the fact that we rely on the gestures in order to perceive the sounds. So they say at the beginning, yes, in order to understand and to perceive what we are listening to, that's right, yes, we listen, acoustics and so on, but we also pay attention to the gestures score and the movement plans of the articulatory system. Okay? Now, is there any kind of data that can back up this? Yes, there is data depending or related to this experience that has become known as the McGurk Effect. It's a kind of experience that is manipulated in some way in order to show that we really do rely on gestures, all right? Now, before we go on into the details, let me tell you why we have the word there, multimodal speech. Multimodal speech. Why do you think we have the word multimodal? The McGurk Effect is a demonstration of a multimodal speech perception. Yes? That's right. It relies on two abilities, which are vision and touch. Okay, we're going to see later on touch. Okay. Now, what is your understanding? How do you understand this McGurk theory? I like the name, McGurk theory. Yes, or effect.
What I have understood is that it's the effect that the interaction between hearing and vision are like during the production of speech. It's like a combination of systems of like visual and auditory.
Right.
And also, for example, when a person watches a video or something, he thinks that the speaker says something like that because he sees.
Like the gestures for ba.
Like actually he's saying, for example, pa or something.
Yeah. Why? Because the video is manipulated. It was manipulated. Now, normally, in fact, the guy who has been recorded in the video, in fact, he says ba, ba. But when the guy who recorded the video went to the studio, he started changing the audio. He kept the video, but he changed the audio. The same guy, he recorded him or her, whatever, saying ga, ga. Okay? And then when he plays it for you, so there is this kind of McGurk effect. Okay? Yes, yes, see?
Yeah, the McGurk effect argues that people perceive when, for example, when they are, for example, calling by phone, something like that. They perceive without relying on vision.
Yes.
But when there is vision and hearing, there is a better perception. Sometimes when there is a better perception.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's right. But I want, yeah.
And sometimes there is, for example, when visual effect and the hearing effect are not matching.
Yes, they don't match.
They don't match. There's a confusion.
Yes.
Perception.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
I guess it's like a theory that states or underpins the statement that says, for example, hearing lips and seeing voices. And for example, people who are used to see movies or films, etc., I guess they don't have this problem because they are used to ignore like what comes or where the speaker words are from his mouth, and they just focus on like words, I guess.
Yeah. Let us do a demo, okay, in order to understand this. So what I want you to do is the following. Half of you, students, okay, do this. So, Rahma, you are the other half. And Sophia, you are this half, okay? Okay? So, no, okay. It's okay. Yeah, put in the borders, right? Yeah. Now, this category, open your eyes and watch and listen.
It's like what we have done with Mr. Hassim.
To some extent. I don't know what you did, but maybe. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. The next one, the next half, you do this. Close your eyes, just listen. So can you do it? Huh? Yes. Close your eyes. Or you can turn. Yes, turn. Turn. Yes, turn. Turn. Upside down. The other way. Yes. Okay? And you watch and listen. You are lucky. You are the luckiest group. Okay? So, focus. A moment of focus, please. Okay? Everybody, focus your eyes. The others who are listening, you focus everything. Okay? So, write down what sound did you hear? Yeah. For all of you, both of you. Write the sound that you hear. Okay? Good. So, 1, 2, 3. Okay.
Ba 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 ba.
I'm going to repeat.
Ba 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 ba. Ba 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 ba.
Write down what you hear. I will keep repeating until you get it, okay?
Ba 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 ba. Ba 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 ba.
That's the best quality I can have for the sound. I repeat again.
Ba 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 ba.
So, take it smoothly, simply. What you hear. You're not going to get 20 over 20 and you're not going to get 0 over 20. So I want you to do is simply pick up the sound that you hear. You use your whatever knowledge and you use only the... I repeat again, don't cheat. Okay? It's one sound. Okay?
Ba 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 ba. Ba 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 ba.
Write what you hear. Write what you hear. Okay? One signal, one word, one sound. What you hear, get it. Okay? Last time.
Ba 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 ba.
Okay. I'm going to start by the من اليمين ولو كان عمر على الشمال. Okay? So, you tell me what you heard. Did you hear different sounds or one sound?
I was completely puzzled. Why? I am hearing something and I'm seeing something.
That's the point.
That's the McGurk effect. Now, what did you hear?
What I see is not what I hear. I'm completely...
And that's the McGurk effect.
What I hear is dada.
Dada.
And what I see is not dada. This is the problem.
What do you, can you recognize?
Dada, because it does not shut it
Yeah,
down.
you, okay, good. I'm going to, is there any marker? Okay, no mind, never mind. Keep your knowledge for you. Keep your knowledge for you. This is individual feeling. Okay? Okay, pages. I don't have something to write with on the board, so I'm going to use technology. Okay? Okay, it's fine. Now I'm done. I'm done now. It's okay. So, Aqlush, you say you hear
I hear dada,
Dada,
but I don't see it. This is the
but
problem.
what do you see?
He does not shut his mouth.
No, what do you see?
Gaga.
Gaga. Okay. Yunus.
I think two voices. Gaga, kind of rock or gaga.
ما سمعنا تغاس يونس.
It's gaga. Gaga.
So that's what you hear. Okay? You hear Gaga. Okay? I'm going to move to some people who tend to look innocent and faithful and sincere. Ga. You hear Gaga. Okay? You hear Gaga?
Yeah, but I see the
I see that.
It's gaga.
Yeah, I hear Gaga.
Uh-huh.
What I see is Dada.
Dada.
Yeah.
Okay, good. One last.
I hear, I see Gaga.
Mm-hmm.
I hear Gaga.
Not Gaga. There is no Gaga. It's Ga. Yeah. Yeah. Something. Yeah. Approximately. Okay. Good.
I actually heard three categories. The first one is Taga, and then Paga, and then Baba.
Okay. Good. So now there is one thing common between all this, which is no. I'm not going to talk about what you exactly. What one thing? Yeah. What you see as gestural score, as a movement plan, as an articulation, is different from what you hear. Okay? Now I'm going to take some instances from this group. Okay? Yes, Naima, what did you hear?
Papa.
Papa. Okay. Asma, what did you hear? Huh?
Baba.
Baba. Baba. Okay. Okay. Yes, that's right. And yes, Zakaria, I trust your feeling.
I
Yeah.
heard three words. The first one is Baba.
Mm-hmm.
Number two is Papa. And number three is Baba.
And the number 3 is
Baba.
Baba. Okay. Yes. Amal. Okay. Good. So that's natural result of this manipulation that you have been victims of. Okay. Now let me go to my slide.
Ba 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 ba.
Another thing that we have problem kind of thing, not to help with this, is the auditory system. Okay. Just want to say something. Okay. Now let me explain this. So most adults think they are hearing Dada, or so-called fused response. So you can have different results, but this is for the people who did this test, okay? Where there is a result of an audio-visual illusion. In reality, you are hearing the sound ba, while you are seeing the lip movement of ga. Because that's the McGurk Effect. Now, when you see and you have a look at the guy, it's like saying gaga. Gaga, okay? But then the auditory that you hear, that is manipulated, that is changed, is different. It can be da or it can be ba, depending on each one, okay? So then this is the McGurk Effect. And it shows that we rely on vision. We rely on looking and analyzing the articulation of the hearer, okay? I'm going now to play another video that explains this more. It's a BBC video that I found online. Yes, Akhlush?
There is a scene, experiment which we sometimes see on television. It's called like in some shows. I know the name in French. It's le ventriloque. the ventriloque is a person who has a puppet in his hand, and he makes the puppet speak. So when he makes the puppet speak, in fact his lips are not speaking, but he's speaking internally. So we believe that it's the puppet in fact who is speaking at the time when it's him. So it's a kind of illusion. And
Yes, yeah. He plays on that, okay? He plays on that, and I have seen some presentations like those. Okay, or the battery dies. So, the McGurk effect, it doesn't work, but I'll continue just like this. It happens when people watch a video of a person talking, but the audio portion of the tape has been altered, like in the first video. The video might show a person saying ga, but the audio signal is of a person saying ba. What people actually perceive is someone saying da. So that's the story. If the visual information is removed, the auditory information is accurately perceived and the person hears. So when you fix this, you don't manipulate, you don't alter anything, so there is a correspondence and you won't have this kind of illusion. Okay? It is very robust because it happens even when people are fully warned that the auditory and visual information do not match. He's the guy who is a psycholinguist, and he says that I always have this confusion, this illusion. No matter how I'm experienced and I'm aware of what happens, I have this illusion. It happens when real words are used rather than nonsense syllables. It happens even if the auditory and the visual information is processed by one of the brain's hemispheres. So in whatever kind of situation, whatever kind of context, the illusion takes place. It's so robust, okay? It proves that the speech perception system combines both visual, now come to the explanation, it proves that the speech perception system, your perception system, combines both visual and auditory information when perceiving speech. So you rely on visual and audition, okay? Auditory. It shows that visual information influences speech perception. Visual information influences speech perception when that visual information is available. It is an example of, here I come to the word I started talking about in the very beginning, multimodal perception. Because two sensory modalities, hearing and vision, two modes of perception, contribute to the subjective experience of the stimulus, right? Now, there is another version of the McGurk effect which incorporates touch. You know that there are people who are deaf or whatever, for some reason they can't hear, or they can't see. Okay? Now what do? They rely on touch the lips of the guy or somebody speaking in order to know what they are talking. So they use the touch. So here comes the three-dimensional McGurk effect, or three-dimensional or multimodal speech processing system. Now, there is a more IQ way to create another variant of the standard McGurk effect. IQ here is a reference, a terminology used by the same person who spoke about this three-dimensional. Now, this information from touch, haptic perception, is combined with auditory information, perception or touch, combined with auditory information to change the way people perceive a spoken syllable. They have manipulated an experiment. Okay? Now, the same manipulation you have here, it happens for these people who are sick and can't look. They play for them a sound, but when they make them touch somebody, and that body, the guy who is sick, that person is sick, they tell him, you are going to touch somebody saying the word. Who says the word? And then the guy who is pretending the word, saying the word, moving, he moves or makes a different movement plan. And then the same illusion takes place for those sick people. Okay? For you, it happens because you rely on vision and auditory. But for these, they rely on touch and auditory because they can't see. So the same kind of illusion, okay? Now, what participants actually perceived was a compromise between the auditory signal and the haptic touch signal. Instead of perceiving, so they have the same illusion, instead of perceiving the spoken syllable ga or felt syllable ba, they heard the hybrid syllable da, okay? That's what's for you. You can't determine, is it a ga, ba, or da? Sometimes it's a hybrid. Somebody talking about ra. Okay? So it's a kind of hybrid, okay? Kind of thing. Just as in the visual version of McGurk Effect, speech perception was influenced by input from two perceptual abilities, okay? Motor theory explains now why we have this McGurk effect, as I told you before. It is used by the motor theory to show that, yeah, we rely on gestures in order to understand and to perceive what we see. So motor theory explains both versions of the McGurk effect, the visual and the haptic one, as stemming from the same basic process. Read, okay, we're not going to go into reading the paragraph. There is a good paragraph here that illustrates this, but it shows, this paragraph talks about the fact that motor theory relies on this kind of evidence to tell us that yes, we do rely on vision, majority of people, but those who can't see, they rely on touch, okay? The mirror neurons. Here we go into something biological. It is just the beginning, by the way. This is not final, just the beginning, okay? The mirror neurons is a theory that says that there are parts in the brain which manipulate all the story of the motor theory. Okay? Now, and this mirror neurons, they have relied, first of all, it comes from people who research monkeys. And when they did experiments with them, they found that monkeys, so evidence from monkey neurons have the motor theory to enjoy a renaissance. Research discovered neurons in a part of the monkey's frontal lobes, okay, that responded when a monkey performed a particular action. When the monkey performs an action, the brain in the front, this part, there's activity going on. Okay? When the monkey watched someone else perform an action, when also we watch, not we, but the monkey, will watch others acting, because you know that monkeys act, lots of movement. So there is activity going on in the same part, okay? Or when the monkey heard a sound associated with that action. When this other monkey makes an action and there's a sound, there is some activity going on in the brain, in one part of the brain. So the neurons were called, and these places, they have been referred to as the neurons, and they were called the mirror neurons. So this is for monkeys. Now the same thing, they go further into telling that the same thing is applicable for humans. According to motor theory, people should activate the motor cortex. It's one part in the brain, when they perceive speech. So when for you perceive speech, there is activity going on in this motor cortex. It's one part in the brain. And then proponents of the mirror neurons argue that the neuron brain mechanism that established the link between heard speech and motor representations that underlie speech production. Now, when you perceive, there is activity going on. And the same thing, you do it when you pronounce. When you do the same, for example, you listen to me. You listen to me, say ba. I say ba. Boo and bi. For you, when you listen to me, I say ba, boo, bi. What happens for you when I say ba? There is activity, kind of activity going on in this motor cortex. When I say bi, boo, bi, the same thing again. Okay? And for me, as a speaker, the same thing happens. There is activity going on when I say ba, boo, bi. Okay? And hence the comparison idea between when we are perceiving, we perceive, compare between what I hear, what I see, and the articulatory knowledge I have inside. Okay? This is a kind of proof that has been relied on. Because when you are perceiving me, you are using your knowledge. Okay? And that knowledge and that activity, also when, for example, I'm going to do an experiment with Sophia. Can you say, I say ba, boo, bi. Okay? They say that there is activity going on in the brain, motor cortex. Can you say the same thing? The same activity takes place for each sound in the motor cortex. And this shows the connection between our internal knowledge when we perceive, our internal articulatory knowledge, and then this is some kind of biological evidence that they're trying to advocate for showing this motor theory and providing proof for this motor theory and the McGurk effect and so on. Okay? So mirror neurons have recently been found in the monkey equivalent of the motor cortex for the human being. Anyway, so motor cortex is one area, one part in the brain. Okay? Proponents view evidence that the motor cortex responds to speech as supporting their view of speech perception. This evidence, okay, there are details for this. I will not go into that. So, listening or imagining saying the syllable ba was correlated. Listening, or you just listen, you don't listen, you just imagine that you listen to the word or the sound ba. What happens? Was correlated with brain activity in one part of the motor cortex. Listening or I don't know what I was in there, but because imagining, yes, imagining, saying ta was correlated with brain activity in a different part of the motor cortex. For each sound, there is an activity in the brain, in one area of the brain. Ba, ta, activity, but the activity for ba takes place in one place of the motor cortex. The activity for ta takes place in another place of the motor cortex. So motor theory explains these results by arguing that the same brain areas that produce speech are involved in perceiving, as we did with Sophia. Okay? So that's the end of this lecture, okay? I will post it for you later on, and then we can discuss online, okay?